How you doing, people? This is AJ, and I'm back on Periscope. I decided to put a bit of a show together. I've seen a bunch of people do shows on Periscope, and I think they're doing amazing. I've had access to Periscope Producer for quite some time and been using it on some of my other channels, but decided to see if I can put a show together because I bump into so many inspiring people. I wanted to give them some exposure, so decided to start something called Startup TV. It's a working title, probably won't be called Startup TV for much longer. I'm sure I can think of a better name, but it is that for now. And essentially want to put something together where we speak to some inspiring entrepreneurs, some people that have got some rags to riches stories, startups, people from Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, people that are coming up with some innovative ideas. And so I've got someone on the show today called John Bull, who I'm going to introduce you to shortly. If you can do me a favor and please share the broadcast out, I would truly appreciate it. Hopefully it's the first of many, and I'm going to do this quite often. When Periscope first started, I actually did used to do this. So I spoke to I had the founder of Tony and Guy on my Periscope. We walked around his home, his incredible home. I'm telling you, this place. He had a chapel in his backyard, just to give you an idea, where they would do the baptisms and whatever. Very religious man, incredible home, and very hospitable. I also had Michelle Moan on the show, the founder of Ultimo Lingerie. I've had a bunch of people on the show, to be honest, and so I thought I'd do it a bit more, a bit better. I hope you guys can hear me okay, and I hope this is working okay, because this is the first time I'm using a bit of kit here. I own a bunch of channels on Periscope, and so we've been doing Periscope Producer on those channels as well, but it's the first time we're doing it here. So I'm going to introduce you to a guy called, thank you Crystal, thanks for letting me know it's working okay. I'm going to introduce you to a guy called John Bull, who's with me today. He invented a product called Plinth, which I think is an incredible product. He was on Dragon's Den a few weeks ago, which is a show in the UK, a bit like Shark Tank. AJ, please don't sell out to Dragon's Den. No comment. No, I don't plan on going on Dragon's Den yet, but I think the opportunity might well be open if I did. Let's go over to John now and have a chat. John, how are you?
Hello AJ, I'm very well, thank you.
Good to see you. Whereabouts are you today?
I am down in my office in the garden of my little thatched cottage in deepest, darkest Somerset.
Oh, good. Deepest, darkest Somerset. It looks quite bright in there, actually. It looks quite nice.
It is in my office, but outside it's pitch dark.
Okay, good. So I want to talk to you today, John, about Plinth, about the success of Plinth, about your Dragon's Den experience, what it was like in the den with the guys. I'm on camera. It looks like I'm facing the wrong way, but because my laptop's here, I'm going to put it there next time, so I'm actually facing you. I want to speak to you about, I really want to try and get into the nitty gritty and how successful your business has been so far. I've watched your journey coming out of the den, and I think it's just been incredible. So let's start. Tell me how the product started for starters. Tell me how the product started and how you came about this genius idea and what it is.
Okay, okay. Well, where do we start? First of all, let's talk about what the product is. The product is a pocket-sized stand for tablets, phones, Kindles, you name it. Virtually any portable device will sit on my product. It has the fairly unique benefits that it is very stable. It will hold any tablet or smartphone in any one of 5 positions, and it's instant. You pull it out your pocket, press a button, and chink, it's there. So that's kind of what the product is. How it came about is down to the fact that when I bought my first iPad back in 2010, I very quickly fell in love with it as a technology. I love being able to touch the screen. I love being able to sketch ideas on the same thing that I use to watch a movie or check Facebook or answer an email. It's a very useful, capable device. So I started using my iPad all the time, both at home, down here in the office, and also out when traveling. And I guess, like many people, I wanted something to sit it on whilst I was working. I tried all sorts of covers and stands. Like most people, I guess, I went onto Amazon and trawled through, and I've tried loads of different things over the years, and I just couldn't find one that ticked all the boxes. None of them did everything that I wanted them to do. And because I'm a product designer, I've got a 3D printer here in my office, so
Good.
I can just build whatever I want. I thought, well, this will be easy. I will just print out a little stand that I can use just for my personal use.
Good. Sounds incredible. So you sat there in your garden shed and came up with this idea for a tablet stand, essentially. We've just seen a quick video that kind of explains it as well. Thanks to the guys that are here, Katya, Crystal, a whole bunch of people. And so how did this turn? So you just got you whipped out your 3D printer, let's say, and you kind of put this... You put this idea into reality. You turned this vision into reality, and what was the first prototype like?
Terrible. Terrible. Yeah, it was hopeless. It was like a lot of stuff that you see in the shops nowadays. No, seriously, it quickly turned out that it was actually a very difficult brief to solve.
Okay.
To actually arrive at something which does fit in your pocket, but which is also stable.
Yeah.
Proved to be quite tricky.
I can imagine, especially to hold up an iPad. I mean, that's quite a fairly heavy object.
Yeah. Well, the product I've got now, the Plinth. There's a picture. There's all sorts of pictures out on the internet, but there's one I took when the iPad Pro first came out, and I didn't have the money to go out and buy an iPad Pro, but I had a piece of plate glass made the same size as an iPad Pro, which actually weighs 1.5 kilos.
Wow.
And that sits quite happily on a Plinth.
Wow.
Without any trouble.
Good. Wow. So it's essentially a tablet stand that fits in your top pocket. We're just watching a video of you printing it for the first time, actually, which is quite interesting. So it's a tablet stand. Now, what made you go on Dragon's Den, and what was that experience like? That must be quite an interesting one.
I went on Dragon's Den because everybody told me not to throw up the opportunity.
Yeah.
I have tried over the last 2 years to find a way of bringing Plinth to the market. I've tried all sorts of things, and I found getting people's attention quite difficult. As somebody that nobody knows who they are, no name in the business, don't have any contacts with distributors or buyers or anything.
Yeah.
The opportunity to go on Dragon's Den came up, and I was persuaded to do it.
Good. And what was that experience? So for the people that don't know at home, Dragon's Den is the most watched, the highest rated show on BBC Two. It's very much like Shark Tank. People go in there to pitch for investment, or they go in there with ideas that they might have. I wish I could show you some footage from Dragon's Den, but I don't want to infringe any BBC rights here. But, you know, what was it like, John, to go on the actual show? What was the whole experience like for you?
Well, I suppose the key thing is it was very, very nerve-wracking. It's quite a scary proposition, because I suppose, like most people, I had watched the show. I've watched the show from time to time. I've seen the way that the dragons behave and the way that they approach their victims. And when you contemplate the prospect of actually putting yourself into that environment, that's something which, particularly for me personally, because I'm quite a private person, I'm not a very outgoing, flamboyant, in your face type guy.
Yeah.
So the prospect of kind of going, firstly in front of the cameras,
Yeah.
and of course on the other side of those cameras are several million people.
Yeah.
None of whom I know, of course, but
I'm sure some people are watching at home, John.
yeah, one or two. But to do that in an environment where you're going to be walking in front of 5 people who are going to try and effectively pull your business apart,
Yeah.
expose the soft underbelly, if you like, and to try and get from you your weaknesses or the failures or the things that are potentially wrong with your business,
Yeah.
is quite intimidating.
Absolutely. And so, what was it? What? I mean, did you rehearse it well? Did everything go well on the day?
Yeah, I mean, I've been rehearsing it since March.
Okay.
My wife and I went skiing in March, and I spent most of the week walking out of the bathroom into the lounge, walking up to my iPhone and saying, "Good afternoon, dragons. My name is John Bull," and I forgot it.
Wow, and it went well on the day, I take it.
It was. I'm not so sure I was going to say. It went well from the perspective that the net result from the day has been nothing short of miraculous.
Excellent.
How I performed on the day, they did expose some things which I wasn't too keen to talk about on the telly.
So I'm going to interrupt. One of the key things was, one key question that Peter Jones asked was, what is your cost price? What is your cost to manufacture the product, essentially?
Yeah.
And you avoided that, and I think got a roasting for it.
Yeah. I possibly could have played that better.
Yeah, no problem. And your reason for avoiding it was, I mean, is there any after comment on that, just while the public are watching?
Yeah. But yes, well, that's a good question. It's nice to have the opportunity to clarify that, because it could appear that I was trying to be secretive, or that I had something to hide. But in fact, the reason, but for my thinking, is that I think for many people who don't understand the full complexity of running a business, and manufacturing, and all the other sort of hidden costs, like legal costs, like taking out a patent, like just so many different things that become part of a very complex picture.
Yeah.
If you go on front of the television and say, my manufacturing cost is £2.50,
yeah,
anybody who is interested in the product will then log on to my website and see that it's selling for £14.95, and immediately assume that I'm making £12 profit per unit.
Yeah, I can understand that, but also I think
then they're going to tie that into the perception that nowadays you can buy anything from China for a few pence, and they are going to assume A, that I'm a fool, and B, that I'm a greedy fool. And that is
in the Dragon's defense, I think they wanted to understand the margin of the product. It's a question that I would have asked as well, and we've had this conversation afterwards. And I think more importantly, it's a question that would arise because on the packaging, of course, it says "Made in Britain," which you're very proud of, and I, and I think that's why somebody would really want to know what the manufacturing cost is, because the other products are, of course, made in China for pennies or a pound or so. And this product is obviously being manufactured in Britain and is going to cost a little bit more.
I think it costs a little bit more, primarily because I use quite an expensive manufacturing process called two-shot moulding.
Okay.
So that's the key thing which adds cost.
Okay, I understand. Well, look, let's move on. the Dragons didn't invest in the product. You walked away without an investment at the time. What happened soon after that? I'm just looking at the product and showing the guys a product as well. Lovely packaging, I must say.
Okay. I mean, it was worth doing it, AJ, purely for the memory that I have of sitting on the sofa in a little cottage in Ireland, in the southwestern corner of Ireland, because my wife and my family and I were on holiday at the time that it was broadcast. So at 10 to 9, we hurtled off the beach, extinguished the barbecue, and rushed back to our little cottage.
Yeah.
Flashed up my laptop and watched the broadcast on iPlayer.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me halfway through, watching it go out. I thought, I wonder what's happening on my website. So I picked up my phone and looked at Google Analytics, and there were well over 1,000 people on my website.
Wow.
Just at that point in time.
And of course, you knew the result, so it was no surprise to you that there wasn't going to be an investment there. But I think by seeing that, it might have been quite motivating to you.
Yeah, well,
or a shock and a lot of stress and panic because the website actually went down, didn't it, for a short while?
I believe it might have done. It was certainly struggling.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, when you decide to launch a product onto the market, like I have done with Plinth, it's very easy to read a lot of the stuff that you see on sites like Kickstarter and on the internet. You can always find lots of information, and of course you're always going to find that fantastic runaway success stories.
Yeah.
And people who have made huge amounts of money through crowdfunding and what have you. My experience has been very, very different. I've had the last 2 years have been a long, hard struggle where it has felt like the costs just keep coming. You just keep getting bills for the next stage of a patent application and various things, modifications to tooling, and there just seems to be an endless string of bills.
Oh, I understand.
And I just didn't seem to be able to break through and find a way of selling the product. I couldn't manage to find anybody to get enthusiastic about it. So you're left working away with an idea, with a fledgling business, thinking, am I completely wasting my time? This could be, I could have invented something here that the world just doesn't want.
Yeah.
And the thing that's kept me going is that the people that do buy my product very quickly come back to me. I've got hosts and hosts of emails and comments and messages on Facebook from people who say, thank you so much for this design.
Well, interestingly,
it's exactly what we've been looking for.
Well, exactly. The first thing I did was, while I was watching this show, is go onto Amazon and get some good user feedback. And I was able to go onto Amazon, have a look at the feedback, and really surprised to see a good steady 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Almost a 4.5 consistent. So people love the product. They love what they're buying. They're buying a premium product and they've given it a good rating. Now, my experience, I'm very experienced on Amazon, and it's actually quite difficult to get a review, let alone a good review. So people only ever leave a review if they're exceptionally happy with the product, which is very good to see. Hence why the next step was to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
What happened in your words? In your words, while you were there in Ireland?
Well, that was quite cool. Because of course, like I suppose many people, I'd never heard of you.
Yeah.
And whilst I was watching the broadcast and watching what was going on Twitter and on Google Analytics, I I saw a tweet from a friend of mine who is a guy who lives up in Scotland who has been following my progress on hang on.
It's all right.
Yeah. A friend of mine who has been following my progress on Kickstarter. He was one of my earliest backers on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And has followed my progress throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And something I've quickly learned through the Kickstarter experience is just how magical people are. You know, they are so supportive. The people that followed me on Kickstarter are still in touch with me now.
I love Kickstarter. It's almost like you've got a bunch of business partners there that are really eager to push you along and help you along and help in any way they possibly can. Which is amazing.
The support I've had has been fantastic. Anyway, I had a tweet from this friend of mine whose name is Adam, and he sent me a tweet saying, John, you've just had a tweet from AJ Joshi. Don't ignore that one. So I said to Helen, my wife, I said, who the asterisk is AJ Joshi, and she Googled you and looked up and found out a bit about you and sort of pushed my iPad screen in front of my nose, and there were some more asterisks. Went backwards and forwards.
Okay.
And and the rest, as they say, is history.
Well, what is history? Because I think this is the first time we're talking about it. We had a conversation a few days later. I mean, I love the product. More importantly, I firmly believe in people, and you came across as an extremely genuine person on Dragon's Den. And I think one of the comments that came across from a particular dragon was edging towards counselling or a little bit rude. And I just looked at you as a person that is coming from a perspective of not necessarily being able to market the product or being a designer or an inventor, somebody that's essentially created a product and struggling to actually get the product out there and looking for someone to say, look, hey, I think it's a great product and I can help with that side of it. And I think that was a trick that was missed on Dragon's Den. And there was a whole bunch of questions, and we had a conversation afterwards. I think there were lots of questions missed, but I then soon realised that they were probably asked during the uncut version. But what was shown on TV is a lot of it was actually missed. But what happened next, John, in your words? And
I think your perception is very close to how I would put it. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a designer, I'm an engineer, I'm not a marketing expert. I've had to learn how to build websites, I've had to learn how to use social media and all of these things which aren't really in my skill set as part of the journey.
I understand.
And your involvement, I mean, has been pretty miraculous, really. And as you say, you replied to my tweet. We exchanged a couple of emails. We booked a conference call. I came home from Ireland on the Tuesday night. We exchanged emails on the Wednesday. We had a conference call on the Thursday, which I genuinely enjoyed because it felt to me like you asked perceptive questions, and that the reason that you were interested in Plinth and the reason that you were interested in me was not so much about making money. It was more about genuinely helping something that should have a life to come to life.
Good. I'm glad that came across, because that is the case. And we did a deal. Yeah. we did a handshake, and a week later, things started to move in the right direction, I hope.
Yeah, very much so. It has been nothing short of transformational, because I work alone. I used to have a design consultancy where there were 8 of us in the team, which I enjoyed at the time.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've come to the realization that actually I do my best thinking, and I think I do my most creative work when I can squirrel myself away and just kind of, work. But
Good.
the downside of that is that there are a lot of arrows that I don't have in my quiver.
Absolutely. No, I understand that completely. So essentially, we closed. You got your asking, what you were asking for. There was no negotiation because I think it's quite fair for you to also enjoy the fruits of this and not be squeezed to death. The sales have been on a good rise. Lots of things have changed to try and give you back some time and efficiency. Would you say?
Yeah.
Do you want to just summarise in 2 minutes what the last 2 weeks have been like and what the future holds for Plinth?
It has been okay. When I was working on my own, you think every day you sit at your desk and you think, right, what should I do today? What aspect of my business should I pay most attention to today? Having you on board and working with you, and I do feel it's very much a collaborative relationship.
Absolutely.
Is that you and I are exchanging fairly short conversations where we identify a to-do list, if you like, or a hit list, which I can then go away and do. And in anticipation of the fact that obviously we want to start to market this product at some point, and take it to new places. But my feeling has always been to get the logistics sorted out first. So we have gone, in the last 2 weeks, we've gone from a situation where I'm sitting on the sofa in front of the telly, assembling them myself, to a point where I have sourced a local factory who are 15 minutes away from here, who are now doing all of my assembly.
Good.
I have got an extremely good moulder up in Birmingham called Barclay Plastics, who are doing all of my manufacture.
Good.
And we are now tying up a relationship with a fulfillment centre up in Crewe, who will be doing all of my posting and packing and sending things out.
Excellent.
So the hit from that is that hopefully it will now free me up to get back to the drawing board and start bringing on the next product.
Absolutely. And these are friends that I've used before. They're very, very, very good at what they do and very streamlined. So I think putting this formula in place gives you back your time, which is the most important thing, and allows you to focus on building the business, marketing the product, finding new areas of distribution, finding new customers, finding new wholesale customers, and most importantly, the thing that I'm excited about is taking this over to the US of A. So you've had a very large shipment. Your largest shipment, we're just seeing a video right now of that coming through to your place. That's 10,000, I believe, arriving outside your backyard. And the next shipment is going.
That's one delivery of many.
Absolutely.
The 10,000 would probably fill that lorry and more.
Absolutely, and so your next shipment is going over to the warehouse directly. And streamlined
they don't come here anymore.
Absolutely. Now, one thing you said on Dragon's Den that was slightly shunned upon or not believed, or perceived not to be believed, is that you ranked very high for best tablet stand in Google. What I was shocked by is you actually ranked number 1 for that, and I think when I told you that, even you were shocked by it.
Well, it does. Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, it changes all the time. Some days you're at the top, some days you're not at the top.
Absolutely.
But yes, and of course now it's things are picking up quite significantly. So of course, yes, we are now quite near the top at Google. But again, that's something that I found frustrating over the last 2 years, is that I have carefully chosen file names. I've read endless stuff about SEO and website optimization, and yet you do all of that, and yet Google say, sorry, who?
Well, you've done extremely well. Hi from Sydney. Hi right back to you. Listen, Ian Turner's wishing you well. Saying congratulations. There's a bunch of people in the room. If there's any comments or any questions you've got, now's the time to ask. We're coming to a close. What I want to talk about is the future of Plinth and what your ideas. And one thing I do want to talk about, John, publicly, because we've had this conversation privately, is your kind of motivation behind this and your future goals behind this and why you do what you do, because we share that so much, and I think it's a driving force of the success of this, and I'd really like to share that with people.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of you, and really that's what it's all about for me. Is that it all sounds a bit yucky to say this, but I mean I will say it because actually it's true.
Please do.
The reason I designed Plinth is because I couldn't find a product that did what I wanted it to do. I designed it because I felt that the world needs a stand that's useful, pocket-sized and everything else. And I've done it because of people. It is about people. I'm not running this business to make money. I'm running this business to make money so that I can continue to do what I care about. And what I care about is people, their experience, their relationship with the world and with the technology that they use and all that kind of thing. And something that I agree with you, I think you and I share very much, is that, and something that I am now more excited about than any other aspect, is that I see now that there's a potential route here, that once I have sold enough plinths to pay off all my debts, which it looks like that might now start to happen, that one day I might shift into a place where I actually start to have some money in my pocket that I can spend, which then starts to open the little bud of flower, and you think, well, so what are you going to do with that money? And something that I share with you is the concept that actually, as you start to make money, that opens doors that you can then start to use that money to do some very, very cool things with.
Absolutely.
And I would very much like to get involved with using whatever wealth comes my way to just help people, because there's so much painful stuff going on at the moment, which is
Good.
bad.
Good. I'm exceptionally happy to see that is your vision, John, because I stand by it myself in the businesses that I have. I think that one of the most important things is to try and help as many people as possible. And again, it's one of the things that is a driving force for me. If I get involved in something that is harmful in any way, or is not moral or unethical, then I shy away from it. And I think that's one of the key things that when we clicked on that first conference call, it's something that you pointed out and very important to me. Hence why this product is made in the UK. It's made in Great Britain, guys, and it's going to stay locally made, which is something I'm extremely proud of. And when it does go to the US, which it will be going to the US very soon, it will be made in the US or an alternative local country. But it's about giving local people jobs, and everybody essentially benefiting from the success of this type of product. One question. Go ahead.
I'm very excited by, and I don't know, people in the States or what have you may not. I'm sure it is the same thing in the States, but there's a massive energy in the UK with small businesses, and lots of people, even in government circles, will make noises about how it's the small businesses which are the real engine room of money flowing. It's the little businesses that feed into the big businesses. Absolutely. And so on and so forth. Absolutely. But there's huge amounts of energy in small businesses, and I think supporting those, keeping those things going and helping them to grow is much more exciting than working for the big corporations.
Good. And I firmly believe in SME startups and what have you. Hence why I've put this kind of series together. I'm going to be speaking to a bunch of young entrepreneurs, SMEs, startups, people that are essentially breaking through in the business world, and talking to them about the amazing ideas and concepts that they have. One question that Ian had is, how do we help new or designers in the UK, or new entrepreneurs coming in the UK? I'll answer it, and maybe you can as well, John. My answer would be to get in touch with someone like myself, or somebody that can help amplify that in some way. And like John took the plunge and going on Dragon's Den, it's not a bad thing. I mean, if they don't invest, the worst case scenario is as much exposure to the product as possible, or to the idea as possible. And it helps you kind of get a bit of a stepping stone in the right direction. And if it's a great product, which Plinth clearly is, because the sales do the talking. I mean, the sales are rising every single day since it was highlighted on the show. The Amazon sales are going through the roof. So, you know, it's clearly an amazing product. People want it. It's the best tablet stand that I've seen, hence why I'm now involved in it. And I think that to the only way that you can essentially get a product like this highlighted is through someone like somebody like Dragon's Den, or through social media, or through YouTube, or through reviewers on YouTube, or whatever it might be. But to get the product out there, get it seen. Yeah. We live in an amazing age. You know, I come from an era where you know, you would pick up a telephone, a fax machine, and I'm quite young, I'd like to say. You know, we've gone through a technological revolution over the last 15 odd years, and we live in an era where it's very, very easy. It sounds really, it sounds extremely optimistic, but I promise you, it is very, very easy to try and get your product out there if you tap your fingers on the right pulses out there.
If you tap on the right pulses, AJ, but
I know it's tough.
Finding those is actually quite difficult, I would say.
Well, John, you know, one thing I saw is your stuff on YouTube. Yeah, you know, what your product was, you know, reviewed by quite a well-known vlogger. Yeah. What was that gentleman's name again? Remind me.
Was it the copper versus glass fella?
No, it's the one on the side of your box.
Oh.
Geek TV, yeah?
Who? Oh, Geek Beat TV.
Geek Beat TV, yeah. So, you know, these type of guys you managed to get the product out to, and they were quite receptive. I mean, the Geek Beat video actually got a printed version, a 3D printed version, and still reviewed it. Yeah,
they did. Yeah, John P over in the States and Callie Lewis, they were terrific, actually.
There you go.
And that video is now back on YouTube.
Good.
And it's worth a watch, because they just loved it.
Good.
They loved it, and my Kickstarter campaign was probably going to just about get there until they broadcast that review, and when that review went out, it went crazy.
Excellent. Well, look, thanks for coming on this podcast or show or Periscope or whatever you want to call it. I want to do a whole bunch more of these, John. Okay. You know, we've got some mutual friends that we might get involved as well. But you know, I thought that this was really good. It was a great insight into what you do. And I'm pleased. It's becoming an extreme success for the both of us now, and I'm looking forward to taking this product abroad. And I'm really, really excited about the future, because I can see the better and more successful this product becomes, the more people will become successful around it, and we're really solving an important issue here. I mean, there's some other things. Let me just, as a closing statement, this is not just a tablet stand to me. You know, this product is just been partnered up with a well-known children's charity that are working with disabled children who might not be able to use both hands to hold up an iPad. This is a product that holds up a book to help read This is a product that is going to be used in cooking or homeware. This is a product that is being used in all sorts of different applications, and I think it's a great product, John. Well done.
Well, thank you. The words can't really express that well enough, I don't think. But and I agree, and it's been thank you again for the opportunity to talk about this in a way that isn't quite as intimidating as the Dragon's Den experience.
Yeah, of course. Well, look, John, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to close the show, so please stay there. Guys, thank you so much for joining. I want to do a whole bunch more of these. I thought it was quite cool. It was nice catching up with John. I think that I meet so many startups. I get sent so many different business ideas, new products. I hear about so many cool tech stuff that I want to highlight them. I want to give people a platform, talk about it, talk about the design process, what went into it, the hardships that people have gone through, the successes that people have gone through, and essentially try and help them find an avenue through, but most importantly, help inspire a bunch more people. Because I think, if we hear some people's stories and not just the polished stuff that we see on TV, but the real deal from the founders. I'm going to do some satellite. This is like a satellite link up thing, which is quite cool. I'm going to do the similar thing with some people in San Francisco, some people in LA, all over the world. So, if you've got a product that wants to be highlighted, or you're an up-and-coming entrepreneur or a startup, get in touch. Send me a tweet. I'm at AJ. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to potentially work with you or feature it on the show. I don't know when I'm going to do the next one, because this was a bit off the cuff, but I will make this a weekly show, and I look forward to doing more. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch up with you soon.